Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Cruiser Chat. I don't have anything specific to talk about today, so I'm just kind of hanging out in the office doing paperwork. So whatever you guys want to chat about, just let me know, and I'll see if I know the answers. Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me out there? This thing seems to change every time I mess with it, so I can never tell if it's working right or not. Hey, how's it going? Awesome. Yeah, every time I log back in, it's a little bit different, and I never know if I've got it set up right and people can hear me. And yeah, I don't have anything like really planned out to talk about. So whatever you guys want to talk about, cruisers, whatever, works for me. Uh, yeah, um, I am planning on building some bumpers. It's getting off to a really slow start. Um, I got the new press built. I got the press brake put together. I got the bender all put together. Um, I just need to get around to actually building them. We've been so busy with actual like regular maintenance work that I haven't had time to jump on the bumpers yet. And I have no idea what moderators actually do. I don't think enough people tune in to need moderators. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, bumpers are on the list. I did front and rears on a 40 a couple of months ago, but those were just like box tubing bumper and winch mounts, nothing like formed steel. So yeah, I need to get around to actually doing that. It's on the long list of things I need to get around to doing. Started building another stainless steel FJ62 exhaust yesterday. Um, I'm part Irish, mostly German, with some Irish and Hungarian thrown in. I do not watch football. Yeah, I don't really watch any sports. If I'm not here at the shop, I'm usually watching like machine shop channels on YouTube, where I've been watching a bunch of photography how-to channels lately. Um, Never really got into sports much. I've done roof racks in the past. Out of like just one by one box tubing, bent into a roof rack shape. Um, they were a pain to do from scratch, just making all like the gutter clamps and all that stuff. And there seems to be quite a few like really nice, readily available racks nowadays that would likely be cheaper than one-offing them. Um, so yeah, I mean I could build roof racks, and I'm not against building roof racks, but there's probably nicer, cheaper options, if that makes sense. I don't have a plasma table yet, so I can't do all the cool custom like plate brackets that a lot of the pre-made guys use. I'd love a plasma table, but I need a bigger shop first. Yeah, the problem is like I like doing fabrication work, but it's hard to justify it when we've got like regular maintenance and repair work really stacking up at the shop because the custom fab stuff like always takes more time than you can like justifiably bill. So it's more of I do them because I like them rather than they're going to make a profit. So I've got to balance that with the regular work that's coming through the shop. And yeah, I'm not all that great at balancing those when we've got stacks of like maintenance and repair work to get done. Seatbelt mount above the rear wheel well. Those are something I probably could do. It would likely be cheaper to have a body shop do it, just because they're going to be more set up to handle the paint and the primer and the sealer and all that end of things. Yeah, it's just another one of those. It's hard to juggle fabrication work in on top of the regular work. My goal is to eventually take over the other half of the shop here, and split it so we've got mechanical on one side and just a whole other side for fabrication. But we're probably another year out from doing that because I'm gonna have to hire another tech, and yeah, it's gonna be hard to justify that jump. But it's in the pipeline, and that would make swinging fab work easier because then I could have the other tech doing mechanical while I mess around with fab work, and doing the stuff that I enjoy doing. Not that I don't enjoy doing the day-to-day Land Cruiser stuff, but I like the fab stuff more. I use a guy. He's local out here. It's Dallas's Restoration. Let me see if I can find his card. So yeah, it's Dallas's Restoration. 540-905-0734. He is awesome. But like me, he's a really small shop, so he gets pretty far backed up. Like I think last time I talked to him, he was like 6 or 7 months booked out. But he's my first choice for getting paint and body work done because he's local, good prices, and like rust repair is his thing. Like he builds, custom panels and patch panels aren't available. Really, really great work. He's probably going to kill me for putting his name out on YouTube. But yeah, he's my first choice. I did collision and restoration for like a decade. But I always wanted to do mechanical. I fell into the body shop side. and I enjoyed doing the body and paint work. I liked painting better than the body. Um, but I got tired of it, switched back to mechanical. Um, and yeah, we don't really do any body type repairs here, just because we don't have the space for it and a place to make the huge mess. Um, yeah, maybe if we switch to having the fab side of the shop, we could incorporate some body work because I've still got all the tools for doing it. Um, it's just another one of those. It's hard to justify doing when we've got all the mechanical work sitting here. And everybody should know how to weld. Community college has awesome welding programs. You know, like you can go at night school, and learn on somebody else's welder, and practice and have somebody show you how to do it properly. Um, like I took all the welding classes Nova offered back in the day. Some of them I took a couple of times just for the extra practice time. Um, and it's one of those skills. You don't use it all the time, but once you know how to weld, it opens up a lot of doors to being able to do other stuff. So if you've got time to go take classes, I would definitely suggest taking classes. I wouldn't have a seatbelt bracket be my first welding job though, but it's always good to learn. Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where I'm going to need a third. Either I'm going to need another tech in the shop, or I'm going to need somebody in the office. Because right now it's killing me splitting time between the shop and the office, trying to get all the estimates written and try to get all the work in the shop that I need to get done instead of heaping it all on Crash and making him do all the shop work while I hang out in the office. But I need to get more space before I can get another guy, because right now we've only got really 2 bays in the shop. It's a nice place to work, though. It's heated and air conditioned in the shop, so it's pleasant. Um, I'm guessing you're talking like a video series on 80 or 100 electrical issues. Um, I can't think of any major ones that pop up regularly. Um, yeah, when I was running mobile and working on all makes and models, I did a ton of electrical diagnostics. Um, but since I've switched to basically just doing cruisers, my electrical test stuff really doesn't get that much of a workout. Usually it's chasing down like rodent damage where mice have eaten a wiring harness or something. Um, yeah, I don't see a lot of electrical issues with them. Maybe I'm lucky, but it just doesn't come through that much. Um, I should do a center diff lock switch. I just have to get one to come through the shop. And for frame rust and stuff, I don't know if Dallas does or not. We've got another buddy that does mobile sandblasting, and he's come here and he's come to Dallas's shop and blasted frames for us in the past to clean them up, and then you got to paint them. It's a real pain to clean out all the sandblasting debris uh, after after he does it to get them clean enough to paint again. So I usually don't do it. I know Dallas has done them before. I don't know how actively he does them. And I guess I could do a video on like locker wiring because we do quite a bit of that. And I think I've got a locker install job coming in pretty soon. So we could do a video on wiring, stuff like that. There's another guy, and his YouTube name is really weird. It's like Low Life 4x4, like IO. It's something like that. But he's been doing a bunch of electrical Land Cruiser videos. Let me see if I can find him because I think I've got him like following him. Okay, I'm not really sure who this I'm not really a troll person is. We're going to remove them. The 100 series active height control, it's got its own computer. So you can just there's a couple of fuses to pull, and then you can unplug the computer itself under the dash. I think the last one I did, I just unplugged the computer under the dash and left the fuses in because apparently on some generations of it, one of the fuses that's powering the auto height control also has something to do with the vehicle stability control. So I've just been unplugging the computer on the last ones. And it doesn't seem to affect anything else if you do it that way. I haven't done a ton of them, though. And why do I think the 4.7 is capable of hitting 1,000,000 miles? They just seem to be a really stout, well-built motor. We don't really see problems out of them. Um, as long as they're well maintained, keep the oil changed in them, change timing belt, water pump, and heater tees, uh, change the exhaust manifolds when they crack. Uh, that's about all every now and then we see coil packs um, fail on them, but I've never had to actually open a 4.7 up to do any internal work. It's all just been, valve cover gaskets and timing belts and exhaust manifolds and the occasional starter here and there. Yeah, they seem to be just really reliable and built like tanks. Um, I've heard of the odd 4.7 head gasket failure, and I've heard of like random, loss of compression in cylinders on them. I haven't actually seen them come through the shop with those symptoms, and the ones I've heard about were all like 300 plus miles with poor maintenance. So yeah, it's not something I've seen on a regular basis. Um, and we don't do a ton of 100 series. The vast majority of what's coming through here is still 80 series, but we see probably 2 or 300 series a month. Um, within the same time frame, we'd probably see 10 80s. Yeah, they're aluminum cylinder heads on them. Um, Cast iron block with an aluminum head, or aluminum heads. Yeah, that's a good idea. I've actually been thinking I should go back and do, more of the beginner stuff. That's why I kind of went back and did like ignition timing on the 80 series, and I did valve clearance checking earlier this week. It's one of those things. I guess we take it for granted because we just do, so many belts and wheel bearing adjustments and fluid changes, stuff like that. That I didn't think people would really want to see that, but we have gotten emails about it. So that is a good point. I probably should work on doing videos like that, and those would be easy to shoot for fill in between bigger shots. Yeah, the Camrys had a head stud problem, and I think it's because they were using an aluminum block. Because there's a company that makes a repair kit that puts steel inserts in there to retain the head bolts better. I haven't actually seen one do it, but I've seen the kits for it. The most amount of miles I've seen on a 4.7 that hadn't had the timing belt and water pump, probably 150 or so. Although I did a Lexus RX 300, one of the little V6s. I did one, I think it was its first timing belt change at 320. The timing belt itself actually still looked pretty good. I went in there because the water pump was leaking. And I thought it was insane that it had lasted that long. We had one of those 85 minivans when I was in elementary school. I loved that thing. Had the big moon roof and an ice maker and a little fridge in the front. We had that thing, I guess, up until I started high school. There's one in a salvage yard near here that I really want. I think it'd be awesome to put a super motor and make one four-wheel drive. That thing took us on a gajillion ski trips between Texas and Colorado. I've never seen a head stud fail in a cruiser. Like the 80 series is, the 80 series is have head gasket issues occasionally, but even then, I've never seen a bad head gasket, or I'm sorry, a bad head bolt with them. Yeah, because I mean they're still cast iron blocks, so the threads are decent. It was something like with the Camrys, and I think there was like a Cadillac motor. It was the same thing, and like the heat treat was wrong on the aluminum block, so the threads were soft, and the threads would pull out. But yeah, I would not want to be the one fixing pulled head bolt threads in a block. That does not sound like fun. I have not put a V8 in an 80. I won't go as far as to say I'm a Toyota purist, but I'm of the opinion that you buy a Land Cruiser for the reliability, and you buy a Land Cruiser for their drivetrain. So I'm kind of opposed to dropping, like an American V8 into a cruiser. I'm not opposed to dropping like a Toyota 4.7 or 5.7 in. But since those aren't common everyday swaps, those cost more, and nobody really wants to pay for them. I had a Tacoma in here a couple of weeks ago that had a V8 in it, and it was just everything was shoehorned under the hood, and it was just so terrible to work on because everything was on top of everything and nothing really fit well. Like I hated working on it. Yeah, so I wasn't a fan. We are putting a 3FE motor out of a 62 into a 40 series with a 5-speed probably next month. Depends on how soon the owner finds a donor 60 too. We've got the 5-speed sitting here for it, and we've got his truck here. We just need to get a donor truck, but I think that'll be a fun swap. And there's lots of people out there that like V8s and cruisers, and there's shops that do V8s and cruisers and do them very well. I'm just not one of them. Like I think if I was going to get a V8 in a cruiser, I'd either take it out to Valley Hybrids in California or Torfab up in I think they're in Washington. Both of those guys seem to do really awesome V8 swaps. Forge Specialties that was down here did cool V8 swaps into cruisers, but they stopped doing them a couple of months ago. Cleaning a fuel injector without professional equipment. I probably wouldn't recommend trying it. In the past, before I got the actual fuel injector with flow test and everything rigged, I had done them in just an ultrasonic cleaner, and it was hit or miss whether it actually cleaned them up. You know, sometimes it would free up a stuck injector, other times it didn't do anything, and one time it seemed to kill an injector, although it could have been an injector that was on its way out to fail before I tried cleaning it. I don't know, but it was hit and miss. If you think your injectors need to be cleaned, there's services that you can send them out to like they'll clean them for you and send them back, or sometimes they have a core, like where they'll send you a set of injectors and you send back yours to replace them, and then they clean those up. I would go that route because I don't think it's horribly expensive. The fuel injector cleaner tester thing we've got actually came from eBay, and like all the writing on it's in Arabic. It works really well. I think I only paid like $400 for it, which is kind of expensive for if you're only going to do your fuel injectors once. But we generally do them anytime we've got them out doing like a head gasket job. We just do them as preventative maintenance. So we use it, a couple times a year at least, probably once a month. But yeah, it's hit or miss. At least it was hit or miss for me trying to clean them without an injector cleaner. And you can also get one that like runs pressurized cleaner through the fuel rail, but like on an 80 series or 100 series, it's so much of a pain to get to the connection where you would hook that up that I don't know that it's really worth it to try doing that route. I don't think new injectors from Toyota were terribly expensive. I ordered one for my brother's 80 series. I want to say it was like 120, 130 bucks. He ended up not needing it after several more trips through the cleaner. That injector finally freed up and started working. So the injector I ordered is sitting on the shelf in case I need one in the future. Yeah, I've had some that I've put through the cleaner, um, and they just didn't really want to clean up. Um, we got them to spray better. I've had one set we cleaned it. Uh, the fuel injector was completely clogged, like it wouldn't even click. Uh, we ran it through the tester, got it to flow, put it back in the truck, and then like 3 months later, it actually failed for good. Um, so it can be hit and miss trying to clean them. And I'm lucky. The guys that rent the back half of the shop here, they've got an ultrasonic tank that's big enough that you can put a transfer case in it. So when I need to get things really, really clean, I use their big ultrasonic. I don't even want to know what that thing cost. Yeah, the 750 is expensive. I guess it all boils down to how many times do you want to go in there and change injectors. Uh, we usually flow test them as preventative. Um, it's rare that I've actually seen bad injectors. I think in the 7 years I've been doing this, I've done two 80 series injectors for actually failing. The rest of them cleaned up, um, and were serviceable. But we just started cleaning and flow testing maybe a year ago. So we haven't run that many through, maybe 5 or 6 sets. And we've done a couple sets for the Jeep shop next door. I don't know what the actual outcome on theirs was. I'm assuming they worked because we didn't hear anything else about it. I'm trying to think, because most of the time when we do it, it's just bundled into the head gasket job. I think it ends up being like if we were to do them separate, it's probably like $150. Because it's just the time it takes to set up the machine, and then getting. Usually, it's set so long between when we use the machine that the fluid that we use to clean has gotten gummy, so we end up having to put new fluid in it, which we don't do enough of them to make it justifiable for us to have the actual fuel injector flow testing fluid. So we just use Marvel Mystery Oil cut with BG44K, which seems to flow reasonably well. And I like that it leaves an oily residue inside the injectors when we're done, for when they sit before we put them back in. And it's worked well for us so far. So yeah, it'd probably be like $150 to run a set through. Which lift kit are we talking about? Like 80 series, 100 series. Um, I mean, they're all gonna settle some over time. Um, the Alman Emu stuff seems to be pretty good about about keeping their height. Um, what we normally do when we put them in, we we put everything together and we rough adjust the torsion bars, so it's everything's somewhat level. And then we do a couple laps down a really rutted potholed road to just kind of shake and settle and move everything into where it's going to be. And then we pull it back into shop, do our final torsion bar adjustments to get all the corners leveled out. And then we take it for alignment. And generally that does pretty well. We haven't really, I can't think of any that we've had come back afterwards to be readjusted. And we've got a couple guys that are running quite a bit of weight in the back of theirs. We've readjusted them, like when people have added bumpers or taken bumpers off, changed something from what the original setup was, and we've gone back and adjusted to account for that. But I can't think of any that we've gone and adjusted just for sagging. Sorry, my wife's out of town for school, and she's between classes, so I'm texting her back real quick while she's available to text. It'll be nice. She gets back home this weekend, which means I really have to clean the house tonight. But it'll be nice. You shouldn't need any adjustment for the upper control arms as far as the suspension goes. You just want to get it realigned to, reset the caster and camber. Yeah, and as far as South America, yeah, my wife and I both love Central and South America. She's got a rule of a new country a year. Generally, like when we started out, we were bouncing. We'd do Europe, like a country in Europe one year, and then we'd do Central or South America the following year, and alternate. The last couple of years, it's been all Central or South America, just because it's cheaper than going to Europe, and I actually prefer Central and South America to Europe. Yeah, I'm not sure where the next trip is. Yeah, but Central and South America are beautiful places. The people are just absolutely amazing. The food's great. Just awesome things to see, whether it's nature, wildlife, awesome ruins. we've bounced around, quite a few places down there. I think we've done Peru, Colombia, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and I really enjoyed all of them. Plus, there's really awesome Land Cruisers everywhere. But yeah, it'll be probably at least next spring before we take another like out of the country vacation. We're doing well, my wife's driving back from Boston this weekend, so I'm going to take the train up and meet her in New York City, and see some shows and hang out up there because it's been a while since we've been up to New York. So we'll do that this weekend. But yeah, I'm not sure where's next for foreign countries. We've been talking about like Spain or Portugal, or Scotland. We did a driving trip through Ireland a couple years ago, and that was a lot of fun. So we may go do the same thing in Scotland. Yeah, they have all the cool diesel stuff in South America and Central America. One of my good friends is from El Salvador, and he's always talking about the cool diesel trucks they have there. I haven't been to El Salvador except for a layover. I guess we've done a couple layovers in San Salvador, but I've never actually been outside of the airport. He keeps trying to get us to go, but yeah, we haven't made it there yet. I'd like to do some of the Mayan ruins in Honduras, but it seems rather sketchy for Americans right now, so we haven't. And it's really depressing what's going on in Nicaragua. All the protests and the violence against the people started a couple of weeks after we were there, and it's just really sad what their government is doing. It was an amazing place with just super awesome, friendly people, and the president is just murdering citizens. So we likely won't be back to Nicaragua for a while, even though I loved it there. I want to go over to the Arab Emirates. Also, they seem to have a bunch of really cool Land Cruisers. Stuff that we didn't get here. But I don't know how well I would get around there. I can barely get by in Spanish, and they use the same alphabet as us. I don't know how I'd do with trying to read Arabic. I would love to go to Australia. I don't know how I feel about being on an airplane for that long. And that also seems like just a really, really, really expensive trip. It's kind of like, I'd love to go to Japan, and like, Thailand and Cambodia. But getting to that side of the world seems pretty far out of the realm of possibility, at least right now. But no, it would be amazing. It would be amazing to get down that way. I'd love to get to the Galapagos too. A friend of ours just went, and it looked awesome. But yeah, that's a really long airplane ride. If you guys don't mind, I think I'm gonna jump off of here a couple minutes early. It looks like we're getting ready to have another set of thunderstorms come through. So I'm going to try to race home and let the dogs out before we get another torrential downpour. Um, but yeah, I will try to tune back, or I not tune back in. I will shoot for being back here next Tuesday. It seems since I started this that it's been every other Tuesday. I had initially wanted to do it every Tuesday, uh, but it hadn't worked out. Like last Tuesday was my birthday, so we shut the shop down, and all of us went to the local caverns to hang out and have a fun day. And by the time we got done with that, I just didn't feel like driving down to the shop to do Tuesday chat. But yeah, so hopefully I will shoot back here next Tuesday. So if you guys have any other questions, um, yeah, let me know, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for tuning in.